What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. And what we're going to be getting in today, well, we're going to be getting into my trip to Kyoto, Japan. And I'm going to be up front. Originally, I wasn't planning on making a video on this until I was at my cousin's and we were watching some of the shorts I put out just about a week or so ago, about 2 weeks ago. And I realized two things. Number one, it would have been pretty cool because I was narrating the shorts to them anyway. So if I were to make a video of the narrated parts of it, it would be beneficial. And then plus, when I was watching on my cousin's big screen TV, I was thinking the clips that I had would look really good on a big screen TV. So I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and put together a quick video, and at least for my close family and friends and anyone else who wants to watch this video, I think you guys will find it beneficial. But I do recommend that you watch this on the biggest screen TV that you have. So the plan for this video is I'm just going to showing you about the trip in and around the parts of Kyoto and the areas around it. And then also I'll be talking a little bit about the history of the area in addition to my trip. All right, I got a plan in place. Risks are acceptable. Let's go ahead and send it. So we hopped on a bullet train heading towards Kyoto. One of the first attractions to see when you're heading that direction is Mount Fuji. Unfortunately, Mount Fuji was covered in clouds, so I really couldn't see the peak. And I say unfortunate because I actually enjoy seeing Fuji when it's partially or mostly covered with snow. The next thing I'm going to kind of draw your attention as we're going here on the bullet train is occasionally going to be seeing some scarce, sporadic of pink trees. Well, it was perfect season for the cherry blossoms or the sakura, and we are just really arriving during a great time of the year to be able to see this time of the season because, and you'll see it especially when we get to Kyoto, we were definitely there for some prime time. But going on the bullet train, you're going across a lot of countryside, beautiful countryside, and a lot of beautiful water features varying from anything from just little streams, rivers, to full-on lakes that connect to the sea. So we arrived Kyoto, I would say around mid-afternoon. And I'm going to go ahead and let you experience what it's like when you kind of arrive into the train station here. But here, as you're watching these two clips, I want you to try to pay attention. See the sides, see the people, and pay attention to the signs, because that's going to play a role when I come back for a little bit more narration. So I've been to Japan many times, but I've mostly been up and around the Tokyo and Yokohama area, so I'm very familiar with taking the train up and around that area. And I always found it to be pretty intuitive at least between those two major cities. When we got to Kyoto, however, it was not as intuitive. We were debating on whether to walk or to take the train. The train would have been 25 minutes, walking would have been 45 minutes, and we were originally planning to go ahead and do the connection to the train, but we were struggling to find it, so we were just like, you know what, let's go ahead and walk. And I was happy we did because I was aware of this river that went down Kyoto. I had never seen it before, and I knew where the train station was. We could just walk right up the river, and it would have been pretty easy to get to where we needed to get to. What I didn't know is with the sakuras or the cherry blossoms and everything, how beautiful of a walk this was going to be. So for those that aren't familiar with Kyoto, it actually used to be the capital. It was the original capital of Japan, as a matter of fact, when the emperor established it in 794. And it remained the capital all the way until 1868, so for almost 1,000 years, when the emperor of that time moved it to Tokyo. As of today, it currently populates around 1.5 million people. And one of the things that I ended up looking up, and at least according to Wiki, that I thought was pretty cool, is they have confirmed human remains back to 35,000 BC. So this takes it all the way back to the Paleolithic period. And at least for those of you that find ancient history interesting like I do, hopefully you enjoy that little tidbit. Another cool thing that I want you to start paying attention to are the structures around the city. I also was reading that since World War II, Kyoto was one of the cities that was mostly spared from wide-scale destruction, that a lot of the structures still are intact. And as a matter of fact, when I was going there, it definitely seems like these structures, you know, it was modernized, don't get me wrong, but you can kind of get a feel like from the turn of the century, from the 1800s to the 1900s. At least that's the feel that it gave me. And it caught me a little off guard because you're going down the street and it seems like, you know, turn of the century type stuff, and then all of a sudden, here's a Mercedes. You know, I quickly realized, well, we're in downtown metropolitan area, so you got to have money, as evident here. As you're seeing in this clip, and you'll see in some other clips later on in this video, Kyoto is in a natural cul-de-sac, and it has surrounding mountains and hills that kind of enclose it, and it's open to the sea. So I just really thought that kind of helped, at least for me, felt like it was bringing nature in closer to the city, unlike Tokyo, where it's just like concrete jungle, you know, for as long as the eyes can see, which, to be honest, isn't that far because all the buildings. My friend and I were staying in different locations, so I had departed and I was headed to where I was staying at my hotel. And along the way, again, I'm just really getting fascinated by all the beauty here. I just really was not anticipating to see this. I kind of anticipated, you know, it'd be pretty scenic, but not this scenic. And the cool thing is at least how our schedule went, since we arrived later in the afternoon. We were kind of just holding time before we went out to dinner. And as a matter of fact, that evening we did a little pub crawl, and then with this group of the people that we met at the pub crawl, we went out and sung karaoke that night before we went out the next day. But you can definitely see that how the cherry blossoms are all over the floor. And Kyoto probably had maybe 1 or 2 more weeks, or at least maybe 1 or 2 hard rains or wind storms to come through, and all the cherry blossoms would have been on the ground. So it was really fortunate that we came during this time of the year. So it's the next morning, and I was up on a nice nature walk because I was still jet lagged. But here in a second, you're going to see me talking about how we're going to be heading out to Nara. Nara was a place where we were intending to go and pet the deer. And I say supposed to because as we get here a little bit later, you'll see a detour was forced upon us. Yeah, so it's a bit of overcast today, and hopefully we'll be heading out to see some nature here in a little bit, but kind of staying near the Yon district, which is kind of where a lot of people can come and dress traditional Japanese, back to like geishas, and even the men can dress up in formal attire, you know, from a little bit of time ago. But it's a really just cool place. I just really am enjoying the structures and everything here in Kyoto. It's just it just seems to be a nice place, and if you were gonna pick between Tokyo and Kyoto, everything else equal, I would recommend Kyoto. If ever you're in Japan, you absolutely must check out the 7-Eleven. I'm not going to say that this is necessarily a Michelin 5-star restaurant here, but compared to the States, 7-Eleven has it going on when it comes to fresh food. Another great thing about Kyoto is just all these water features. It is beautiful here. I don't know how much you're able to see here all the way in the back with the GoPro. GoPros tend not to do too good for distance, but man, it is very beautiful, very tranquil here. A lot different than Tokyo. Not hating on Tokyo, I definitely love me some Tokyo. Lots of cool things to do there, but if you're looking for a nice, tranquil, more nature style of city, Kyoto is actually where you definitely want to check out. Or at least put that on your list and then go up to Tokyo or vice versa. Whatever you want to do. If you're looking for nature, here's definitely one option to take a look at. So there I said that we are in Kyoto, but we are actually in a location there called Uji. And it was a bit ironic because as we were passing Uji, I was checking out the river here and from the train, and I was like, man, this is really beautiful. My friend was like, well, maybe if we got time on the way back, we'll stop here, you know, and get some pictures and everything. Well, as fate would have it, destiny had a different plan in store for us, because for the first time ever that I lived in Japan for a total of 3 years, and I've been back many times, and I'd never heard a train having any significant problems. But the complete train line that we were on was stuck for about 3 hours. So we were now stuck in Uji, and well, we decided to make the best of it. Here in a second, you're going to see a bridge come into view, and I wanted to put it into the video because I thought it was pretty cool that this bridge was originally made in the year 646, and although it's been damaged and probably mostly destroyed many times, they kept rebuilding it due to the importance of connecting these two different regions. But the thing that I thought was pretty cool about it is they've attempted to keep somewhat of the original appearance from back when it was originally made, or at least, you know, some of the history of it, maybe not back to the 700s, but I just thought it was cool they were trying to keep it somewhat authentic. Another cool thing, and maybe I would say probably the main reason why you would want to come to Uji if you were visiting Kyoto, is for the green tea. We were walking down this cool little town, and they were literally grinding up green tea on the side of it. Everything here, like you can go to places where everything is made with green tea. Gyozo, as a matter of fact, these balls here, I forget what they are, but it was octopus with green tea on them. And so all of it was really delicious, although the drink being displayed wasn't. After about 3 hours, the train started working again, and we made our way towards Nara. And the original goal was to go and see the deer and possibly to pet them and get some pictures with them. I will say it took us a little bit to find them because we were walking by this Buddhist temple that was made in like the early 700s, and it took us a little bit to find sort of the sweet spot. So if you're interested in coming here, this picture that I'm showing is of Noburyoji Park. This is where I recommend you go to pet the deer. Now I will say you're going to want to try to find a vendor that sells the deer wafer because they'll come up to you a lot easier if they do. I was hoping to be able to get a picture with all the deer around me, so I was going to buy a lot of these deer wafers, you know, start throwing them all around me, and hopefully, you know, get down low with the deer and then kind of stick my head above the deer and get a picture. That was the original intent, but it was anywhere from a heavy mist to a light rain. We were getting pretty cold and wet by this time, and by the end, this was coming to the end of the trip. We were just getting a little tired, so we got a couple of pictures, but I will say it was a great trip. Definitely enjoyed this trip in Kyoto and the surrounding areas, and if I get another opportunity, I'm definitely coming back.
What's that? That's actually his name. Oh shit! It looks like
So that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Hopefully you found it a little informative, a little entertaining with the nice scenery. And I definitely recommend, if you're going to be taking a trip to Japan and you got the time to go down to Kyoto and Uji, to add that onto your to-do list, because I will be doing the same, especially if it's in and around the cherry blossom seasons. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.